Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this essay I will be talking about Kingdom, the K-pop group that debuted last year. They actually debuted February 18th with a 7-member group. So I will tell you their names from oldest to youngest. We have Dan, we have Arthur, we have Mujin, we have Louis, we have Ivan, we have, oh my gosh, I get these two confused all the time. I believe it's Jahan and then Chiu. Choose the youngest. So all of their names are stage names which are representative of a historical king. Arthur's pretty easy to understand and I won't deep dive into all of them today. Just want you to kind of give you a vibe of them, get you to know them a little bit, and do a little bit of lore on their music videos, which is my favorite. And a little bit of information on their lyrics, because their lyrics are extremely story-driven. They tell us a story of that kingdom that we are seeing, and super interesting stuff. I absolutely love it. So we're going to be deep diving into that. First and foremost, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the kings themselves and their kingdoms, and also the motto for their kingdom, because each one has a kingdom and a motto. So first, we are going to go in story order. So there's obviously an age order, which is what I just did, and then there's a story order, which is the order of comebacks. So the debut for them was Arthur, and Arthur is from the Kingdom of Rain, and his motto is "The rain will wash you away." So even though they haven't really utilized these mottos aside from seeing them once in a while, I still love to bring them up because I really feel like they mean something and that we're going to see more about it later. So the next king is Chiu, and Chiu is from the Kingdom of Cloud, and his is "The clouds will embrace us." So he was the first comeback with Karma, which is one of my favorite title tracks. Oh, and for Arthur, the title track was Excalibur. Please, both are absolutely stunning. Excalibur was a great introduction to each character that we get to see. Karma really followed up on that, but they're both very colorful and extremely cinematic, so I always suggest please watch them. They're awesome. Then we have Ivan, and he's from the Kingdom of the Kingdom of Snow, and it says, "When the silence of snow slays." That is his motto. Ivan had Black Crown as his title track, an absolutely stunning title track, really unique lore in that one. I would have to probably deep dive on that one on its own, but I will go into a little bit today, definitely. And then we have Dan, who is our most recent comeback. Dan is also the leader of Kingdom, if you didn't know, and he is from the Kingdom of Change, and his motto is "The seed of change will be born." Super cool stuff. And then we have Louis, and Louis we see in the teaser at the end of the music video. So at the end of every music video there is always a teaser for the next king. So we got to see Louis and it looks awesome, so I always suggest make sure you watch to the very end of the music video. You will find something cool in that. He is from the Kingdom of Aesthetic, and his motto is "The peak of beauty is blooming." Super cool stuff. And then we have Mujin, and Mujin is of the Kingdom of Cherry Blossoms, and his motto is "Leading into the path of cherry blossoms." So I have a feeling all of their music videos have been kind of dark and gloomy, except for maybe Excalibur, which was very exciting and triumphant. So I think Mujin's is going to be a bit brighter, but you know, you never know with Kingdom. And then lastly we have Jahan, who's of the Kingdom of Sun, and his motto is "At the end, the sun will protect you." And now I have my own theories on Jahan entirely, and I can't wait to do a video on his characterization on its own, because there's quite a bit, and talk about that. So anyway, those are the kings, those are their kingdoms and their kingdoms mottos, and now we'll just dive into it. So for Excalibur, there is a lot that goes on in Excalibur. Absolutely stunning music video. The main thing that always catches me about it is how different it is from the other music videos. The other music videos are pretty sad. There's a lot of tragedy in it and just a lot of intrigue. But Arthur's is most notably a bit on the brighter side, I suppose. There's dark elements to it, obviously. There's a fight that he's going through, and, you know, he's trying to win his throne back, which is a very interesting note. But definitely a different vibe from the others, because it feels like Well, anyway, let me just go through them in order. So, Excalibur mentions a lot of cool things in the lyrics, like a new world, taking hold of my destiny, history starts with us. So it kind of feels like a rebirth for the kings in this song, but it was also their debut song, so you may think it's just an introduction to this new world they've created in their kingdom lore. But like I was saying, Excalibur, unlike the other songs, is very triumphant and powerful. Arthur wins, he beats the bad guys, he gets his throne. That's essentially the very basic way to see the storyline and how it happens. He, at the beginning, has clearly lost his throne, and at the end, he gains it back, which is an interesting take because really what we see in the other music videos is the kings who have their kingdoms well and established, but they end up losing them in the end. Like I said, I'm going to go into it. So I have a current running theory for Excalibur, is that Arthur's story is actually the end of History of Kingdom, and History of Kingdom is the storyline that we're going through right now. It's the name of the albums. So all the kings have lost everything up until that moment. Even Arthur didn't have his throne until the end of the music video. So what happened before? And then they band together with Arthur and take everything back, all of them restored as heroic kings. And it's a big theory, not much ground for it other than Arthur's story being so different from the others so far, but it's fun to think about. So, but regardless, we do know that Arthur has suffered loss. He lost his crown somehow before the events of the music video and was constantly in danger before he retook what was lost. So we know that he was going through some stuff anyway. But either way, lots of cool stuff in there. Again, it's a bit more bright and colorful. There's some unique elements in that music video that I always thought were interesting. I kind of hope they backtrack to, like the fact that Ivan can clearly use magic. We see him using magic, but also Louis can clearly use magic. He seems to summon like a little wind orb or something, almost kind of Avatar-y. Avatar the Last Airbender, not Avatar the Blue People. But so just some interesting elements in there that we have not totally seen come back. I mean, with Ivan's, I guess we did see quite a bit of magic, but you know, anyway. Moving forward, let's move on to Karma, my absolute favorite. So Karma has a very, I like to say it's kind of a tragic, rebellious storyline, because it's very clear that in Karma, one of the chorus lyrics is, holding on to my destiny with my back turned to the world, I'm running, running, running. So it's very clear that Chu kind of makes his choices here. And those choices are that the basic premise of the storyline is that he cares about his people, his friends very much. My thought is that because we see him close with Jahan, really the only one we see him really close with is with Jahan, but regardless, Jahan is clearly his close confidant, but he has all the kings there with him. I kind of had this idea that the kings were in the Kingdom of Cloud to be protected from something. The Kingdom of Cloud kind of seems like it's kind of far away from everything. And he wants to keep them safe. He wants to protect them, and from what I don't know. But in doing so, he ends up neglecting his kingdom, and the kingdom is lost. And he doesn't care because he wants to protect what he cares about most. You know, at one point he says that he's willing to take the punishment. I think it says, I will take this punishment, I'm ready, or something to that effect. So he knows that what he's doing is wrong. Letting his kingdom fall like this is wrong. But he's willing to take hold of that in order to protect what he loves most, protect his friends. In fact, my favorite lyric, now let me just find it real quick. I had them open, but my favorite lyric in all of Karma is, I must handle everything for the things that are precious to me. And I really think that is the core of what Karma is as a music video and as a story, like what it's trying to tell us, is that he's kind of being tortured by this. Throughout the music video, you kind of see him being like pushed and pulled two different ways. He's fighting himself and fighting his desire to take care of his kingdom and his desire to take care of the people important to him. And in the end, he ends up losing his kingdom because he chose his friends, or the other kings. But it's one of my favorites because I really love that dichotomy and that rebellious nature that Chu had, even if he did end up losing his kingdom. But like I said, unlike Excalibur, who we saw Arthur gain his throne, we see Chu lose his throne now. And at first, Karma was our first comeback, so we didn't know any better, right? We were like, oh, this is just too cool, different, like, we're seeing different vibes here, super cool stuff. But then we get Black Crown. Now, Black Crown's a bit of a wild card. I absolutely love Black Crown because of how insane it is. Like, it really is crazy. So Black Crown has a unique energy to it that makes it stand out from the other comebacks and the other title tracks. So Arthur's song is very triumphant. Like I was saying, Chu's song is tragic and rebellious. And Dan's song, which is our most recent comeback, is very sorrowful and powerful. But Ivan's song has this tone of like desperation and wickedness, and it's just, I love it. So all the kings have this idea in their title songs about doing whatever they must to protect what they love or their kingdom, but Ivan is truly willing to risk it all for an actual curse and the ability to run the world. I'm going to say that he's the only one we truly see take a wicked route or an evil route. So in this music video, we have two factions that we get to see. The Sun Kingdom and Ak Kingdom, or kind of like there's the all in white and the all in black. But I personally like to call them Fate and Chaos Kingdoms because that was the name of the albums. The Fate album was them all in white, and the Chaos album was them all in the darker clothing. I think it fits them better too, so that's what I choose. So they both sides want the notorious and cursed Black Crown. The Chaos Kingdom is fallen. They don't have any power. And the Fate Kingdom seem to be currently reigning. And yes, these are the both kingdoms that are both the members, if that makes sense. So we see Ivan leading his members over here and Ivan leading his members on the other side. But they look different, right? So you could kind of say that maybe it's like, at first I thought maybe this was like almost a metaphor, like showing Ivan's inner turmoil between two sides, and the evil side ends up winning. But the way that they describe it in the music video behind, which is where I get a lot of this terminology from, I dig for information, is that it seems like they both did exist. And because we know Ivan's world is magical, maybe there were just two groups of people that looked exactly the same. I don't know. You can really take it any way you want. I choose to take it literally, but that's just me. So anyway, like I was saying, the Chaos Kingdom's fallen. Fate Kingdom are currently reigning. Fate Ivan, with all the white hair, makes a choice, maybe out of naivety or not wanting to lose, to go and take the crown for himself, despite seeing how it's already tearing his team apart as they argue about it. But this is what begins it all, and Chaos Ivan wants to be restored to power too. That crown holds the key, and so the civil war between these two factions begins, and of course ends with Chaos taking the crown. And like I said, this is the second time we've seen magic involved in the story, the first time being Excalibur, where I mentioned that Louis and Ivan had some sort of magical ability, so it does make sense that Ivan is in this magical world. Lyrically, I think Black Crown shares a bit with Karma. Like I said, so this one lyric stands out to me the most. So Karma's is, I must handle everything for the things that are precious to me. And Black Crown's is, I choose suffering over the loneliness that overwhelms. So Black Crown has this whole theme of choosing the most dangerous option in order to avoid losing what's important to him, Ivan, or losing the world or being alone. It's actually so tragic, but Karma also shares a lot of these themes. However, for Ivan, I think it's far different than it was for Chu. Fate Ivan presumably had it all going on. He seemed to have himself a castle and was ruling to some degree, but he needed the Black Crown to ensure Chaos Ivan didn't run the world and take what he had gained. And Chaos Ivan needed that crown so he wouldn't continue suffering in his loneliness. And like I'd mentioned, so Karma and Black Crown also share this idea of punishment. So Karma's lyric says, I'm ready, I can't deny this punishment. That's the lyric I was looking for before. And Black Crown, get wild until I get punished by heaven. So both are willing to take any level of punishment to get what they want. Consequences be damned and all that. So basically the idea, and I kind of shown you through some of the clips, is that in the end, even though there's technically no kingdom lost, things are lost in chaos taking over. Obviously, there's actual death that we see. And in the music video behind, Ivan, or Yusong, the actual member, his name is Yusung, he said when he got to the scene where Fate Ivan was being killed by Chaos Ivan, he said, innocent Ivan is going away. Innocent Ivan is going to disappear. And I always thought that was really interesting. It could have just been offhand. What he said was just like, just him saying something. But it also made me think that like the good in that kingdom was being destroyed, that thus leaving us with Chaos Ivan. And from that point forward, we are only seeing Chaos Ivan, which I think is also really interesting because Chaos Ivan clearly doesn't have as much of a, well, his morality is a little different than Fate Ivan's was. So I think that would be interesting going forward. So anyway, that's a little bit deeper than we need to go. So Ascension, now we're on to Ascension. So I'm going to quickly go through this because I really want Ascension and Danshimka or Promise, the other music video that goes with this era, to kind of go together. So I'll probably do a video on that on its own. But basically, Ascension, we see again a king that is suffering and having a hard time and struggling to keep his kingdom, and in the end loses it. We do see good moments in the music. I'm sorry, my throat. We do see good moments in the music video, though, where we see moments when he was reigning at his height and things were great, and everything was really bright and vibrant, cherry blossoms, lots of colors, beautiful hanboks, all this stuff. But then comes in the shadow, and there's presumably a coup that ends up taking his kingdom. His people come to attack him. In the end, Dan is left standing alone, and I think it's to be surmised that everything was lost, and he is yet another wandering king, not unlike Chu. So just really interesting stuff there. Like I said, I do want to deep dive into it more later, because there is another music video that goes along with it, and I don't want to talk about Promise just yet. But basically you can surmise that there is, again, that same theme of the kingdom being lost, and that's where we are left. I feel like from the teaser that we saw of Louis' era as well, which is coming next, that there will also be loss involved in his. It's very dark and kind of spooky, kind of a little vampire-y, if you will. Again, watch the teaser. But I think it's going to be another episode of us seeing a kingdom being lost. And I also like to consider the fact that Louis is supposed to represent a French king, and kind of know for historical reference that French royalty did not often keep their thrones very well. So I think that is going to be a running theme in this storyline of History of Kingdom. Again, like I said, my theory is that at the end they all regain their thrones and they become the kings they always were, but they had to go through some suffering and make some bad choices, and sometimes fate doesn't lead you in the right direction all the time, or sometimes the choices you make that you think are good just aren't good. But that is the basic summary of what we have in History of Kingdom right now. So I would be excited to hear your own theories, your own thoughts on this, and if you have any ideas of your own, please feel free to share them. I would love to hear them. But that is all I am going to put for today, because that was quite a bit of information. So go over it, think about it, let me know what you think, and yeah, have a good day.